الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين فاللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته اللهم أحينا على سنته وأمتنا على ملته واحشرنا تحت لوائه وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد بن عبد الله وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أعاذنا الله وإياكم من النار. These days are the days in which we are looking forward, and keenly so, to catch Laylat al-Qadr, the most important night in the whole year. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ tells us, التمسوها في الوتر من العشر الأواخر من رمضان. Seek it out during the last odd 10 nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. This is where and when Laylat al-Qadr comes. Just as a remark, because we know that the crescent is never sighted everywhere in the world the same night, that means that the odd night in one place is not necessarily the same odd nights in another place. So which odd nights does the Prophet ﷺ tell us to follow? Is it up to the decision of the community? Are they several nights that are all Laylat al-Qadr? Allah calls it Laylat al-Qadr. So it is one night. It's called Laylat al-Qadr. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Iltamisuha, seek it, not them. Seek it out. Again, singular, one night. So how do we determine which night it is? Is it our local night? Is it the national night? Is there a national night in America? Does everybody follow one and the same calendar as far as Ramadan is beginning and end? That is not the case. So how do we really catch Laylat al-Qadr? So let us go back to the hadith of the Prophet. He says, seek it out in the last odd nights of the last 10 nights. Okay? So he is telling us, seek it out. And he is leaving it to our material knowledge and the factual knowledge we get from the physics, from astronomy, from reality, to figure out which night are the odd nights. Right? But by definition of astronomical facts that tell us that the night could be any of the odd nights, and if we cannot tell which are the 5 or 4 odd nights, then that means we should seek it every night. I'm trying to open the window for better and more broader recognition of the effort we need to put. So it is not the 27th, it is not the 25th, it is not the 23rd. We don't know which it is. And for a good reason that Allah has obscured this night for us. Why? He wants us for 10 nights in a year to stick to Allah, dedicate our life at night at least for His worship. That's not much to ask. Especially when we know the value of Laylat al-Qadr which is خير من ألف شهر. It is better than 1,000 months. Can you believe your worship in one night is better rewarded than your worship of 1,000 months? Is this night worth it? Annually, right? It is. What does it give us? One night of worship in the last 10 nights of Ramadan that could potentially be Laylat al-Qadr if we catch it. And the only way to catch it, as I mentioned, is to keep up with your worship at night throughout the last 10 nights, not only the last 10 odd nights. The only way to catch the 10 odd nights is to do it all the nights. Odd according to your calculation, or even according to your calculation. So this is something. What is the benefit of this whole discussion that I just went through? The benefit here is when we know that our chances are not just one night, then we expand how to catch this one night. It is like if you want to give me something and the plate I have cannot take it, I have to get a bigger plate so that I can catch what you want to give me. So to catch Laylatul Qadr, we all must put our best effort in the last 10 nights, all of them, not just one night that we determine it is Laylatul Qadr or it is not Laylatul Qadr. Even the signs mentioned in the hadith about what it would look like, how the sky would look like, it's after, not before. Those signs come in the day of and after the night of Al-Qadr. So you cannot catch it if you want to look for the signs. Those the signs are given for a hindsight decision. You say, yeah, we think it was last night. That's okay. Okay. But let us focus now on the other issue that Laylatul Qadr is meant for. Laylatul Qadr is called Laylatul Qadr because it is the night of the year that we are told in another hadith that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determines the lots of everybody for this year. So your lot is determined every year, but this does not change your overall lot and whatever Allah designed your life to be at the end from any way it has been set. What are we saying? We're saying Al-Qadar, which is what we're talking about, Laylatul Qadr, it all comes from Qadara. Qadara also comes from capacity. When we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ala kulli shay'in qadir, He is capable over everything. Capable means He has the power. Qadar or Qadr also, which is part of our faith, is mentioned in the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, hadith Jibreel al-Mashhur, the famous hadith of Jibreel, coming to the Prophet ﷺ while he was meeting with the companions, and he sits down. He comes in a white dress, unblemished, very clean, very, very nice, and he comes with black hair, and his hair is well combed, and nobody knows him. Umar ibn Khattab narrates the hadith and says, دخل علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب. His dress is very clean and white. شديد سواد الشعر. His hair is pitch dark, pitch black in color. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر. There is no sign that this man was traveling. ولا يعرفه منا أحد. He is not local either. He's not local. He sits down, puts his knees across from the knees of the Prophet ﷺ, and he puts his hands on his thigh, and he asks the Prophet ﷺ, أخبرني عن الإسلام, tell me about Islam. And the Prophet ﷺ gives him the 5 pillars. أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله تقيم الصلاة تؤتي الزكاة تصوم رمضان تحج البيت إن استطعت إليه سبيلا. 5 pillars counted. Then the man says, صدقت, you've said the truth. So Umar, the narrator, says, we were wondering, he's asking and he's giving confirmation. It looks like he knows. Who is this? But when the Prophet is receiving a guest, even though the companions are sitting, they don't interfere out of respect. They don't ask. They stay so long as the Prophet is listening and answering, they are listening and watching. So he asks, أخبرني عن الإيمان. Tell me about Iman, faith. He tells him the pillars of faith. أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر والقدر خيره وشره من الله تعالى. The extension comes in Muslim, it doesn't come in Bukhari. So he tells him about Iman, and the last pillar or tenet of our faith is believing in Al-Qadar. Al-Qadar is very important. Al-Qadr, which is the taqdeer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when did Al-Qadr start to be, and what is Al-Qadr? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِالْقَدْرِ. Everything we have created in due everything. Due measure, due size, due color, due functions, due properties, due term of life, due limitations of operation. Everything Allah decided to create, He created it according to a qadr. So everything created in this life, everything is here based on Allah's, what you could call His plan. So the qadr of Allah is His plan. He created the ants for a function. He created whales for a function. He created the jungles and the animals and the forests and the mountains. Everything has a function, and everything has due proportions and specific properties that fit their function. So the angels are created without free will. They don't have a choice. The jinn and the humans are created with a free will. Everything else we call inanimate, right? Which means they have no emotions. They have no interaction. But in reality, we see that the wind can destroy our life and can give us the best cool breeze we could ever wish for, right? It's inanimate. It's not a living thing, right? Virus like corona, it is not a living thing. It can wreak, and it did wreak havoc on the entire globe, right? It's not a living thing. So everything Allah created, it has a purpose, it has a function, and if it is living, it does have a term of life. Everything that has a beginning, it does have an end. The only one who has no beginning and no end is Allah, the Creator, because whatever applies to His creation, it really doesn't apply to Him. لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. Some faithful communities believe that Allah is a spirit. Allah is not a spirit. The spirit is part of the creation of Allah, and He infuses it. He blows it into living things each according to the type of spirit that fits their life. That is what we learn when we read the Quran. And if you want to go deeper, then you have to keep asking about the spirit and where the spirit comes from. We know it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does the spirit do? It infuses life into a non-living thing. Adam was not a living material. He was a piece of clay. Allah shaped him, blew into him, and when it says, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, it doesn't mean either that Allah has a spirit. But ruhi here is like abdi, abduna. It doesn't mean that we are part of him. It doesn't mean that the spirit is part of Allah or that Allah himself is a spirit. It means that the spirit is of his making. Like we are Ibadur Rahman, Ibadullah, because we worship him. So he honors us and calls us my ibad, ibadi, my servants, because we serve his purpose and we work according to his will. So the Qadar is something that influences our life, all of it. Imagine the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith. Let us take the Quran first. We cited the ayah in Surah Al-Qamar, إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ. So part of the Qadar is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he turned you from a sperm and an egg fertilizing each other or joining together, he turns you into a human being. By the age of 120 days in the womb of your mother, he would send the angel to blow the spirit into this flesh and blood body. ثم ينفخ فيه الروح. At that moment, it will be written what your term of life is, how long you live. It will be written how much risk you will have in your life. It would be written also what is your fate, meaning what will happen to you on the day of judgment. Then some people say, then that means we are forced to do what we're doing. Not that simple. No, we are not forced. There are things that we have no hands in, and there are things that we have hands in. We are only going to be asked about what we have hands in. Where you have a choice and the freedom to exercise the choice, then you are responsible. So no one could use this to say, I killed him because it was in the Qadar. No, you killed him for your own reason. You didn't know the Qadar. Only Allah knows what's in the Qadar. So whatever is being written at the time your spirit is blown into your body as a fetus in the womb of your mother is also written in the eternal book of creation that is kept with Allah, and Allah alone has access to it. Everything maktub is في اللوح المحفوظ, the eternal book of creation. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Surah Al-Ra'd, الله يعلم ما تحمل كل أنثى وما تغيض الأرحام وما تزداد وكل شيء عنده بمقدار. Allah knows what happens in the womb, whether it is full of blood or empty, or the blood is in the middle or whatever, and whatever happens inside, Allah knows it. Whether it is producing blood or secreting blood, or whether this is not happening, Allah knows, and He also knows how much. It is not a strange or a piece of news to say what I'm saying. We know that Allah is بكل شيء عليم. He knows everything. But what I'm trying to establish here, as He knows what we understand physically that He knows, He also knows what we can't absorb as He knows. Meaning, Allah يعلم الغيب. And this is part of this. This is part. وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ عِنْدَهُ بِمِقْدَارٍ, which means everything is preordained by the eternal book of creation. إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ is talking about the qadar that we have no hands in. How tall you are, how fat you are, what language you speak as a child, you grow up and pick from your environment, which generation of humanity do you get born in, which country are you going to be born in, a village, a suburb, a city, a town, whatever. All of these are not subject of our responsibility before Allah, but they are all qadar. How long will you live is part of the qadar. How much you will make in this life, your rizq. You would wonder, you say, but doesn't Allah say that we must walk the earth and seek our living? فَامْشُوا فِي مَنَاكِبِهَا وَكُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِهِ. Indeed He does. And He also says, وَأَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. So while He has determined your lot in terms of provision, He is telling you, you have a hand in your lot. Your sa'i makes a difference. Your sa'i makes a difference. Likewise, your fate is affected by what you do. وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى وَأَنَّ سَعْيَهُ سَوْفَ يُرَى ثُمَّ يُجْزَاهُ الْجَزَاءَ الْأَوْفَى. Whatever you put of effort, you will see it, and you will be rewarded fully for it. In this life or in the hereafter. Whatever Allah decides, He will do. So now we know that there are two types of qadar. One that is out of my hand, and one that I have hands in. Which one would Allah normally question us and ask us about? It is what Allah has enabled us to effect. If I don't have any effect, I am out of the question, I am out of the responsibility. I will consider this an introduction to the topic, but the topic is much longer than this. I'm actually giving a full course on this topic on the Zoom means. I hope that the tech brothers and sisters are recording all of this to keep it for our community. But for now, this is the point that we wanted to establish today, that our qadar is partly our own to make and partly Allah's determination. And let me give you a quick example. A student who does not study and he goes to the exam, and only the night before he opens the books, right? And he goes to the exam, my mom, please make prayer for me. Mom makes prayer. And because his mom is a sincere mom and a sincere woman, and Allah accepts her dua, then Allah, in her dua, what would she say? Oh Allah, give him everything he's asking for. Oh Allah, make it easy for him. Oh Allah, do this. So Allah would remind him of things that he might have forgotten. And maybe the questions could come only in the issues he looked at the night before. Then he comes out and thinks, I'm smart. Everybody's studying the whole semester. I studied only one night. But it is the qadr of Allah, and it shows us an example of what the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ الْقَضَاءَ وَالدُّعَاءَ يَعْتَلِجَانِ. That the qada of Allah coming from heaven and the dua coming up from the earth, they struggle, and Allah determines what would happen. If He accepts your dua, something may happen. If He doesn't accept your dua, something else would happen. So even when I want to come to the masjid, and I come all the way to the door, and I'm supposed to lead the prayer, and somebody calls, and I know that he or she has a death or life crisis, and I decide to pick the call. Somebody else is desperate here. They go ahead, do the prayer. I miss the prayer, right? While I came only to do the prayer, right? But I miss it. Did I intend to do anything evil? No. But Allah's Qadar can change your plan at any second. How many times do we book a trip, plan a whole journey in the ocean or a cruise or anything, and everything goes bad, right? And we cannot do it, or we cannot come back, or we are held in quarantine in some other country, right? So whatever we think of our will, it is subservient to the will of Allah. So we have to submit to His ultimate will, but we should never deny our free will, that we make choices, that we take responsibility for our choices. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach us what we need to learn about Islam as a whole and Al-Qadar in particular. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفوته من خلقه وحبيبه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحابته ومن اتبع سنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. In the past several khutab, I have been addressing the COVID-19 as part of the Qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I mentioned that there very well could be a reason that it is a wake-up call. Like everything else, the Quran tells us that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts anybody, an individual, a community, a nation, through any difficult times, it is for a purpose, and Allah tells us that the purpose is لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَضَرَّعُونَ, so that they may come back to Allah, so that they may humble themselves before Allah. This qadr of corona is only known ultimately to Allah, controlled ultimately by Allah. No matter what you do, you can do whatever medical things that you want to do as much and as best as you can. But at the end, the final cure is in the hands of Allah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lift this test and this trial from the earth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala end this trial and give the people on the earth another chance to improve themselves and to meet Him where He wants them to be, at His service and at His command. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا وإذا أردت بقومنا فتنة فنجنا منها يا مولانا غير خزايا ولا مفتونين ولا مبدلين ولا مغيرين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فستذكرون ما أقول لكم وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد وأقم الصلاة.